Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are live. Part 2 of Auro versus Mongreleyes. Exciting match we've had. The Tamil have managed to expand their full side of the map, as have the Persians.
Sounds like the Tamil kings are dominating the
board. Whoa.
With their history.
That was weird. I don't even know what that was. Yeah, so let's let our friends on Discord know that we're live. And there we go. Let's check our chat, make sure we're fully operational. And here we go. And yeah, welcome back. If you're watching after the fact on YouTube, appreciate you being here as well. Looks like Tamil have finally just cleared this southern site, potentially. I just guessing that from damage units. I did miss. I only caught about half of the previous session. Tamil were struggling a little bit on clear time, but now it looks like we're pretty well settled. And we're looking at 76 science for the Persians and 95 for the Tamil Kings. Exciting times. Looks like our supremacy is still in Chera. I'm not sure if we swapped at all. And we've built the Great Stupas coming online as well. What about other wonders? Is that the first wonder being secured in the game? Great Stupa is going to be a really nice grab for the Tamil Kings because their order economy is not that great. So a little bit extra legitimacy for the Empire is going to be nice there. We're rushing out some apprentice doctors. So we went for the architecture route. This is going to be really great science. We're already at 100 science, or just about, before turn 70. So that's really smooth economic play there. And we have some border shenanigans. Tamil does have a route across to the Persian coast, which is really great news for them. Really great news for them. A little bit of an advantage there. Not a lot of opportunity, but a little bit of opportunity, which will be nice. Let's look at power as well. Oh, both players are similar, and Auro's naive, actually. This is not looking so hot long-term for the Persians. Let's check order economy, because that's going to be the big advantage. The Persian order economy is looking at 31 orders per turn. Versus, let's check the score, because that's a lot of being put into improvements right now. 42 orders per turn for 28, so classic Persia doing Persia things. But surprisingly, only about an extra 500, well, I guess 500 orders at this stage of the game is a lot. Yeah, so that stupa grab for Tamalikam is going to be quite nice to kind of bridge that gap just a little bit. And of course, getting their economy fully operational here. We can see from these buildings in the southern city, we have a couple ranges, a couple barracks, another range coming online, that we can kind of tell the difference in development here because there's no development down in this trader city. So not much. And so this was definitely freshly founded relatively recently. Persia does have eyes on this city. Has decent eyes throughout the map, really. 3 scouts, I'm counting. Yep, 3 different scouts. And we're getting sovereignty now. Tamalikam actually already has 7 laws. Holy shit. Great for them. Tamalikam has 7 laws, doesn't have the culture output. Actually has 2 javelin outfits now. So we should be getting a Citadel up and running in Banshee, and then this will be an A strength unit. Which will be pretty solid. Look at the mobility here as well. We can get all the way up to this northern frontier if we need to defend for any reason. And also, in classic fashion, my favorite thing is these units still do 7 damage to spears out in the open. So even though the spears do 7 damage to them, the Tamil elephants will return fire with a 7 damage as well. So that's neat. That's always neat. Always neat. Let's look at some overall economic stats. So we know the orders are king for the Persians. Food, similar food at the moment. Great iron and, well, at least better iron for Persians, 58 to 20. Stone's ramping up for the Tamil Empire. Probably going to go for some Wonder Spam. And then the onus will be on Auro to crack the puzzle and break the Tamil Empire. Having a science lead and a law lead at this point, and the ability to swap into Chola Supremacy for the 20% combat boost, is going to make that a tough grab for Auro, I think. There's currently a judge on the throne as well, so we could see an upgraded citadel momentarily for the Tamil. Hope we don't miss that opportunity, because then we could instantly get 2 8-strength units. And that could allow us to posture or pressure around the map. Yep, and we do have the ability to build more Tamils, more Javelin Elephants. We actually have 2 out right now. So we could pretty easily get ourselves a decent cadre of about 4 to 6 8-strength units in no time. And let's look at that military graph. Persia is stronger in general, has more power. They're still rated as similar though, so Tamil has some catching up to do. But that 7 law timing, that 7 law ability is going to be really nice for Mongrel. Mongrel has been fun to watch play this game for quite some time. I've practiced a couple games with him, mostly around the time of the last tournament. But he's a player who started out a little rocky, but you can notice there's a noticeable difference in skill over time. He's gotten better with each game, I think. And it's always fun to watch players go on that journey where their first game, you know, is a little rocky, and then they can turn out to be very strong competitors over time. Auro is a player who had a strong opening, won several games right out of the gate, but he too has also gotten better and better with each game, and with good practice. So both strong players in the moment. I feel overall there is a slight favor for Auro. However, really looking strong for Mongreleyes. Really looking like a strong game for Mongreleyes overall. So that's great news. Really great science. We have 7 laws. We're getting civic boost now. We have engineering for wonder spamming. So I feel like if we keep up, I feel like if we grab vaulting, that would be a fun grab for the Tamil. With Hindu, you have access to easy cathedrals. You don't need to worry about religious stuff for that. We also have Zoroastrianism, so that's another cathedral we could build. And then more importantly, you could get calligraphy if you really want to go for point win and just turtle up. I think Tamil cathedrals is a viable possibility. Could be cool to see that as an option. What else do we have going on up here? Poets, apprentice officers, stonecutters. So lots of eco-development on the Tamil side. And they're really lucky that it's really good for them that they don't have an easy crossing point for the Persians. Palatine cavalry is coming out in Persia, though. 2 sets of them. Archers as well. So, I think Auro has a very strong potential. He could also mass upgrade his slingers into archers. He just needs to find a way across. So maybe doing something fun like getting a couple of ships in this water would go a long way. Getting ships and do some quick, cheeky colony tile buying. If you buy these 2 tiles and then get a ship in the water and buy it here, you could basically plan it so the same turn your ship comes out, you purchase. That would put coastal border here, and then you could purchase, and then just flood across and purchase all this region, giving you landfall and allowing you to engage with your opponent if you wish to do so. Of course, the Persians would have the orders to pull that off. It is in the best interest of Tamil here. We still have colonies. Nice. It is actually, yes, in the best interest of the Tamil here to try. Oh, interesting. I like the legal code play for now. Divine Rule is only going to give us 2 orders. We don't even have polytheism yet. So yeah, legal code is quite nice here. Nice to see that shine for a second. Really not a reason to... 70 civics versus 2 orders seems certainly worth it to me. Well, yeah, we do want to collapse this border, though. We really don't want to give Persia a unique or cheeky opportunity to get even a single tile worth of border. Because that could become difficult to defend. Because even, for example, we can't cross this tile here as the Tamil because the Persian spear's here. If we end up getting onagers on these hills, you could whittle that down, forcing your player to back off. And then even this one tile location becomes an opportunity for landfall to happen. All it takes is one tile before things begin to fall apart. Trader City's looking good, pretty good. Culture, almost strong in that city. Let's see the legendary race. 45 turns to legendary in the Persia capital versus 69, so technically a leg up there for the Persians, but neither player is really close to it, and nothing too monumental to go for in the legendary category. I would like to see the Tamil either get Mausoleum or Monumental Buddhist. Probably Mausoleum. Get Mausoleum and then also grab Calligraphy would be really, really interesting to see. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Interesting. That's interesting. Back to Auro in Persia. Forestry in 3 turns. That's nice. We left ourselves quite a nice setup for forestry. We have this fire shrine situation going on. We have this river territory. River next to a camp. This is going to get additional bonus. We have this ebony tile. So forestry is going to be really lovely grab for the Persians. The economy is pretty okay. Nice to see these these marshland mines. Nope. Marshland farms coming online. Look at this. This is going to be 4 wood per farm because you have a granary and a pasture here. So that's really nice layout. Another example, I've been talking about this in a couple of different games, but another example of where even just something as simple as 1 marshland farm can cover the costs of things like your granaries. Because this granary is minus 1 wood, and this 1 marshland farm is going to be 4 wood. So this 1 marshland farm could pay for 4 different granaries, or 1 or 2 different monasteries, or any combination thereof. So really neat to see that coming online. What else is happening? This is a fort. Interesting. Interesting. I don't hate the idea of tossing a fort into the build queue. This is a pretty good location on it as well. I wonder if that was a misclick or intentional. Of course, when you're up against Tamil, it's a little bit tricky because they'll be able to panic you out of your forts, which is always annoying. Still, cool to see. Also, walls. This is a great example of the areas and opportunity you can get away with building walls. This is a far-flung frontier city. It's turn 69. Probably will not amount to much in the long run. So there's no issue with tossing up a wall here in the event this becomes a battlefront with which the Tamil wish to cross. Another defensive opportunity. Oh, perfect. I was just going to point it out. Gordium is another great choice to preemptively build a wall if you're going to build walls, and possibly here in Zendrakarta. But I've gone on this rant more than one time. In general, for the scope of this entire game, those are only really the 3 cities you want to build any form of wall. You don't need walls back here. You don't even need a wall up here in Tus. Mostly that's because of the terrain situation. You can see the threat coming if it starts coming this way, so you could always rush by a wall later if you needed it. But yeah, I don't hate a wall in Gordium, because this will likely be, these 2 cities in particular, because of this landfall potential, will likely be the battlegrounds for Persia, which is where it makes sense to drop in a fort. It makes sense to build a couple walls and get them out of the way. Lots of people have been struggling to conceptualize when, where, and why to build a wall. And it is so niche and situational, but it's very dependent on your ability to read the map and anticipate where conflict may take place. Because the last moment you want to build a wall is when you're under attack, right? And you also don't want to build a wall everywhere, because it's a waste of a build queue. So, especially up here in Gordium, this is just a 3-year wall. It's not even a huge investment. I think that's not a waste. I think ideally you never need to use the wall. But if you are going to build it, pick good spots. And yeah, could be interesting to see if that pans out in the future. We do have 7 laws here, right? Yeah, 7 law Tamil, not seeing any upgrades into citadels, which is curious to me. Also having some marshland farms along this location as well. Very nice to see both players taking advantage of the full potential and scope of their terrain. Love to see it. Love to see it. Seeing some interesting roading happening for these players, for the Tamil player as well. Some chopping. Yeah, I think we're just in an eco stage, and that's okay. I think Tamil have the possibility to ramp themselves up to a power spike, but at the same time, I feel like they don't have to. There's really no need. They can chill here for greed. Tamil are also getting forestry in a couple of turns, and they have the same layout that they're looking at compared to their opponent. I wonder where they placed their fire shrine, if they've placed it at all. They actually have not yet. So they have an opportunity to get a decent fire shrine location. I might even consider bulldozing these pigs, to be honest. And putting all the lumber mills around it. I might actually consider that. We've gotten pretty good growth out of the pigs. 6 population at this point. And an artisan seat. Finishing up with a worker now as well. I could totally see a case for bulldozing these pigs. Or I guess you could toss the fire shrine up here and only miss out on 1 lumber mill. That's not too bad either. It would also collapse these borders, which is good. Yeah, decent options. Decent options. Of course, with polytheism, we'd like to see a handful of fire shrines all over the place. That would be fun. Yeah, both players are going to get forestry at roughly the same turn. Tamil is now weaker compared to Auro, and they're both competent. So let's take a look at that science. I don't believe I've taken a look at the science. Ah, so there was a growth here. There's a high start. A high science start for the Tamil. Then they collapsed a little bit because of probably their first ruler was really beefy. And then they kind of coasted along. Persia never quite caught up because Mongol got such a lead. And then by the time Persia was just about ready to catch up, Mongol took a science rate lead again. So Mongol currently has an extra 500 science invested into the tech tree and is generating only an extra 13 science per turn, fortunately, but still a greater amount than their opponent. Nice. We also see Bath in Parsa as well. Both players. Interesting. Both players clocking and headed towards architecture in the first half of the game. That's fun to see. We have two players deciding that this is going to be a longer game. Two players deciding to go for baths and architecture. Interesting. We're seeing Paultons migrate north. I'm wondering if the Persians are going to start aggressing on this northern frontier. And this kind of goes back to what I was talking about with the idea of preemptively building walls. It's really tricky to figure out. But I noted how this city down here, Phrastia, is building walls. And, who knows if this is ever going to be a big deal or ever necessary. But it's kind of like a preemptive thought process on the part of Persia. If we swap to the other side of the map, Tamil could have theoretically done the same thing. And gives them a window to get units up here and defend if the Persians try to blitz this city down. Because it makes it harder and harder to blitz a city down if there's walls. But again, you don't want to be putting walls in every location. You just need to pick key strategic locations. So this frontier exposed city could be a good spot. And again, we know the central corridor could be a good spot. And then everywhere else, I've seen players who put walls in like all over the map in different locations. That's behavior definitely not one you don't want to do. And of course, you can get away with not building walls as long as you have a strong army. But we know the Tamil doesn't. The Persians are stronger, so that could be some use to them. I really would love to see them upgrading this stronghold to a citadel. Feels a shame to miss it, especially when we could upgrade 3 different units to 8 strength elephant stompy boys. And I think that would be a real great defensive boost for our Tamil player. These units are pretty strong, and this is really good terrain for them if Persia does decide to come up north. Really good insofar as it's open with no scrub or woods, and also it's very heavily hilled terrain, which is going to give us the mobile advantage in this region over our Persian counterparts. Of course, panic is always amazing. 10 orders left. Yeah, it doesn't, and there's nothing really up there in the region. There's no worker up there. Building another quarry down here as well. No builders to enjoy. We do have a robust governor we could toss in somewhere. What's the deal with our ambassador? We have several good options for ambassadors as well. We probably could stand to grab the Cholo one. The Chola are none too pleased with us at the moment, so grabbing one of these units, one of these Chola ambassadors would go a long way to improving the opinion of that family. And we have the allowance in our power score to make this swap as well. So I would add Vanathi of Aloyo into the diplomat seat. Also, there's only a few of you in chat at the moment, just about 5 or so. Could just one person give me a thumbs up that I'm audible and you can hear me okay? I'd appreciate that. My mic has moved itself to a little bit of a different position because it has a mind of its own. I am audible. Thank you, Zophister. Much appreciated, and thanks again for joining in and watching the stream. Glad to have you here, as always. Yeah, this is pretty much going to be a chill game, I think. Probably a chill session. I don't know how long they're playing. I do think not Tamil, I do think Persia is in a position to try and make a move. Look at this mobility up here with this road. This Paladin can get pretty deep in here. You can snipe a worker, starts causing some opinion damage, and as mentioned when it comes to breaking into empires, a little bit of an opening can turn into a huge problem very quickly. So I'd be curious to see if ooh, we have a judges on both. I didn't even notice that there's a judge on both thrones, both frugal as well. So Persia had a frugal, righteous, gracious, foolish judge. So they're actually losing out on about 15 science per turn. So that's actually the gap currently. That's actually what's accounting for the gap between Persia and Tamil. On the other side, we have a frugal, pathfinder, educated, mysteries initiate. Looks like the Palatins have decided to move into a different direction. Okay. Oh, really liking this. This is, again, it's really tricky against Tamil. So maybe I shouldn't be as excited as I am, but I'm just going to point this out anyways, because when I talk to people about preemptive forting, about just threading a couple of forts into your build queues as you're going about your day, improving your empire, just think about this. This is only 2 turns. This over here was only 2 turns. So ignoring the fact that Tamil had panic for a moment, just in principle, this is demonstrating the type of stuff that I'm talking about when I say mix in forts into your build queue, because again, there is landfall capability here. We don't want to be in a situation where we get a surprise alpha attack. In fact, the Tamil are building a ship right now, so perfect kind of timing to highlight this. So we're getting a ship built in Tamil. The potential to cross over to our opponent's side is very real, so our opponent is taking preemptive opportunity to just sprinkle in a fort in some nice locations. This is a decent strategic location. It's surrounded by rivers, so it's hard to attack with melee, and there's only 1 melee opening. And over here, this is really good for zone of control. So, I mean, do the Tamil in particular throw a wrench into this thinking because of their ability to panic and displace the units from these forts? Yes, absolutely. It still will weaken the initial blow that the unit takes, so that's a good thing. And of course, if we can stack up around the unit so it can't be panicked, then that will just translate it to being disarmed, which is a little bit better. But in principle, I think Auro's doing a pretty decent job of demonstrating what I've been saying recently in some of these streams about the idea of preemptively forting. And even preemptively building walls as well. Because even if, let's say, Tamil comes up with a ferocious alpha strike, and he's actually in a position where he might lose Zadra, by being able to pull back behind some fortifications or behind a walled city, that could be really nice to give Auro time if he needs it, if there's a path. Yeah, and here's another example of getting preemptive walls. So Auro is reading a situation with his opponent having 7 laws. He's thinking about that power discrepancy, you know, and he's thinking to himself, I really don't want half a dozen or so 8-strength elephants charging across this gap. Now, the question I have is why he doesn't block off this gap with any units, as he's doing up north. He's fully capable of doing that. So hopefully we'll see that happening. But yeah, no, threading in a couple of defensive builds, not too bad at all. Hello, Jason Henke. Happy Sunday. Hope you're well too, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the cast and the stream. Looks like we're going to have a little bit of a build-up session. I thought Persia was getting ready to aggress, but maybe it doesn't look like it. And also, one thing that this defensive play down here actually gives Persia the opportunity to aggress in the north, because if Persia decides to aggress for these frontier cities, and as a direct response from that, the Tamil choose to just go straight for the heart of Persia, well then, that'll be really nice in terms of buying time for Persia to actually secure an objective up here. Maybe get one or both of these cities without actually losing one or both of his more important cities. So that's another nice thing to think about in terms of the defensive infrastructure that we're seeing pop up in the Persian Empire. I find your lack of boats disturbing, says Sinumi. Yeah. Yeah, surprising lack of navy. I would say especially from the Tamil, since naval units will eventually benefit from that artisan supremacy should we kick into it. So yeah, we are seeing the first ship out, and I think that's the first ship of the entire game. Unless one died in the first half that I missed. Really just want to call attention to these marsh farms. Love to see that again. And also we took an opportunity to build a bath with an elder doctor in it now. I'm going to assume we rushed that out. But yeah, people should not forget that marshes count as fresh water and you can build baths adjacent to them. That's a nice utilization of that. Unfortunately, we put the city center here instead of one of these locations if we had the opportunity. Let's see if we did. I think we did. Yes, we did. We could have gotten more marshes here. Sorry, another bath in that location, but it'll be a little bit of ways before we're strong in the city anyway, so I guess it doesn't matter. Onagers versus navigation, getting navigation for the Persians. So that's going to be law number 6. Law number 6. And we'll see if Persia can hit 7 and remember to upgrade their citadel. Still waiting on that from the Tamil. Still waiting on that from the Tamil. Which is a bit unfortunate. Interesting that we're rushing out a Zoroastrian disciple. With what and why? Well, we have 100 civics per turn, so I guess we can afford it, huh? Oh, we have a zealot on the throne now. Okay, so we did that with training. That's not too bad. Do we change to a zealot? I feel like this is the same unit. Frugal, Pathfinder, yeah. So our judge transformed into a zealot, likely from some event. And that's awesome. Or they just took the throne a moment ago and I missed it. And I missed the fact that they were a judge. Because they've only been on the throne for 2 turns. Yes, this was the judge. Interesting. So this must have been a zealot all along and I just missed it. Yeah. The king had just died a couple turns ago. I missed that. All right. So cool. We have a zealot on the throne now, which is good news for the Tamil. And another reason why we needed to upgrade our citadel when we had the chance. Oh, that's unfortunate. Because then we would have been able to training rush out A-strength units as much as our heart desires. So let's hope that the Tamil will remember the need to build a citadel in Vanchi at some point. Maybe get some training rushing out of the zealot while we have the time. Getting this iron mine. This is another reason why I love landowners. This is such a, deep, lately settled city, but it's going to take no time at all to get these iron mines and stuff operational. So really, really cool to see there. This Jade will come online pretty handily as well. We're already making 12 training in the city. We can 5-turn a slinger. This is going to drop down to 4 pretty easily. So yeah, that's really cool. Very, very easy to get them online very quickly. Both players with 9 cities. I love the division in this map. It's really cool. This kind of oceanic crevice with volcanic features. Like the Earth split open at one point. We split apart. Like this is where the continental shelf of this particular island rests. And it's probably, like, coming apart. Cool to see. Cool to see. And first ship hits the water for the Tamil. That should send an alarm bell up in Persia. See if they follow suit, attempting to put ships in this water. And of course, I believe machinery is in their hands, so they could pivot away from navigation and opt to do onagers instead. That might make sense. That might make a little bit more sense. Of course, again, onagers are tricky when dealing with Tamil elephants. But, you know, you just gotta keep them safe. Just gotta keep them safe. What's our layout of cities, I wonder, for Tamil? 3 landowners, 3 artisans, 3 traders. Okay, pretty even. We need to get a religion. Surprised. That's interesting. We don't have a religion yet with our Chola. That's why they're grumpy. Getting comp bow in 3 turns and building all of our lumber mills up, getting those up and running. That's nice timing. Still no citadel under construction in Vanchi though. I'll be a little grumpy if Persia hits 7 laws and then gets a citadel out before Tamil can. That's a pretty unfortunate, but more common than you would think, oversight. It looks like we are intentionally building an opulent project back here in Korkai. And I'd be deeply curious as to why we are doing that. Look at this, though. We can add this builder. We can add this builder into this city as a governor, and we're going to get 174 gold if we do that. So hopefully we could cash that at some point. We have really great civics. When you have great civics like this, like 100 per turn, it makes a lot of sense to kind of take a moment, step back, go into all of your build queues, and see how you can maximize that output, because I would absolutely get an extra 174 gold per turn, plus the extra culture. We just hit developing in the city recently. Sorry, strong. So that's another good thing for us. Another opportunity to get a citadel out. Are there any strongholds here? No, there is a garrison, but no strongholds. Haha. This is funny. Sometimes it makes sense to do this. We opted to put a quarry here in this really nice quarry location, as opposed to getting the order from the horse. I would probably take the order in Tamil's case, but I understand the desire to get the stone. So won't fault them for that. No harm done. What's up with the festival, I wonder? We're trying to get another citizen? Looks like it. Alright, back to Persia. Ooh, and we got one of my favorite events. Everybody is grumpy about building walls, or whether they should or not, but one of the nice things about building a wall is that there's a pretty reliable event that can fire in a city that gets you an immediate moat. So, I'm pretty sure this is the first wall in the Empire, too. So I'm not sure it's that reliable that you can plan on the city that builds the first wall getting the moat. But it is a pretty common event. So, you know, when you're thinking about potentially tossing walls in a couple of cities, you can always rest easy with the idea that one of those cities could very likely end up with a moat in it as well, which just makes the build queue so much more worth it. And if you think back about building this wall, it was only 3 turns. So we spent 3 turns building a wall and a moat. And yeah, if we take a look at the health of that city now, look at that. This is a slinger. Fine, it's just going to do 1 damage anyway. But yeah, that's going to take a while to crack into. What that means is if Persia ends up in a situation where they're on their back foot and they need to retreat, Persia has the full opportunity to retreat, fort up, or you know, defense themselves up with like onagers or whatever behind this city. You know, they can put onagers up here. They can put stuff along this river in the woods. And they can invite the Tamil to come into this territory to try and take the city down. And that will give them plenty of time to fight a defensive battle in this general region. The unfortunate thing is that there are hills right here. So that does leave the city open for onager fire in the long term, but definitely a strategy to invite your opponent into your territory to try and take your cities, because anyone who tries to take a city while there's an army nearby will very likely lose their army. So it becomes trickier and trickier to lay siege to a city that's well defended. The wall came out here as well. 5 turns of wall here. And then hopefully we will stop. I don't think we need any walls anywhere else, and I'm sure Auro knows that. But yeah, for those curious about when, where, why to build walls, border cities, high tension zones, last ditch, oh shit buttons, you know, preemptively, or you rush them out with a judge. That's always an opportunity because it doesn't really hurt the build queue all that much. Look at this mobility, though. We can get all the way over here pretty easily. But we don't have citadels. Chola giving us rebels because they're grumpy. We're the 3rd city down here, right? Yeah. So hopefully we can... We influence this guy. We can influence this fella. And then he'll become pleased, and we could use him to convert somebody to Zoroastrianism, which will help us out with the opinion. Also, we have an ambassador down. We need to add another ambassador. Still think that we should add in Vanathi as the ambassador. We have plenty of allowance in the Chola supremacy score to add in... Sorry, the Chera supremacy score, landowners, to add in an artisan's ambassador without flipping the ratio against what we want it to be. And of course, the Great Stupa, the lovely, beautiful Great Stupa has been finished. I believe we have our first pillar edict up as well. Yep, right over here. That's going to be 1 civic and 2 legitimacy from every... excuse me. From every city. So I'd like to see those start flying up around the empire very quickly. I personally like to waste no time getting those up. And it looks like we're not doing a high priority on that because we're seeing more farms and stuff. Which is fine, I guess, but... I treat them kind of like groves. Like I want as soon as I'm ready to spam them, I try to spam them as quickly as possible. Because think of it, just 5 cities, then that's an extra order per turn, and we have 9. So if we flesh out our entire kingdom with their pillar edicts, that's essentially 2 orders per turn, which is not insignificant, especially for the Tamil, who have a weak order economy. Speaking of which, we're getting comp bow now. Do we have any sites on cartography? No. Interesting. With 100 science per turn, I think this is a reasonable pivot. And also, metaphysics is not that bad either. Archives. Yep. I think I would like to see the Tamil get cartography, set up their harbors, and swap into Chola at some point. They don't need to now. The nice thing about the Chera supremacy, the landowners one, is that they can build a lot of elephants anywhere, but there's actually a decent amount of elephants on this map. They have several locations where they can build their unique unit regardless of the supremacy. But of course, the extra training is always quite nice. Probably should come deal with this rebel. Oh, and just exactly what I was worried about with the Persians is taking place. on Persia turn. Oh, and we're doing it from two sides, using the scout as well. We didn't need ships to do it. Love to see it. I was suggesting wait for a boat to hit the water, but this solves the problem entirely. We will lose a scout, potentially be able to block this off, but if we can get... We should get units to the other side. Yeah, alright, so we're going to get some... This is likely just to secure landfall. I'm not sure. Although, you know, Persia is... Oh, they're similar again. But Persia has been dipping in and out of stronger than their opponent. So we could see some aggression here. And one thing I like about now... I'm just going to go back to the walls and the fort thing. One thing I like about that as well is that that's a nice hedge for if your assault fails. Because again, Tamil can rush back over these waterways. So maybe if Persia's thinking, I'm going to come through here, cut off this portion of the map and take some territory to my name, he could be thinking, I don't want Tamil to come around me and invade, and or if I lose, I don't want them to chase me back over the waterway. And one way, I mean, that would be inevitable, but one way to make that less painful is if it's harder to secure these cities on the rebound. So that's some very interesting potential preparation from our Persian player. If that's the thinking behind these, you know, minor forts and walls being constructed. Another Palatine cavalry coming out. Civic boost secured, or being teched. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 laws. So 1 law away from 7 for the Persian player, which is our 7th law. Monasticism, war vaulting, or citizenship will be law number 7. Anyone is a decent choice, to be honest. I'm guessing we're going to go for monasticism. With Persia, I love to get up to doctrine at some point because they're the best nation to really crank the doctrine power out, the orthodox power out. Yeah, this would be nice. We'll get the civic boost, we'll get monasticism next in 4, so this would be 6 turns, and 6 turns we'll have 7 laws. We may very well still have our judge on the throne. We're only 27 years old. So get a quick stronghold upgrade, and there you go. You got 8 strength units. Let's see if the Tamil have a mind to get their citadel under construction now. Anywhere will do. It doesn't matter where you put it. Just get it started. Because you'll have that done in about 6 turns, which is exactly when the Persians could theoretically get their citadel up and running as well through the judge upgrade once they hit their 7th law. So kind of a little bit now or never if you want to have 8 strength unit parity. Ooh. Tamil going to do a little bit of a bonk against the opponent, and we're also going to buy some tiles. So I really would have liked to see Persia be able to cross and purchase on the same turn, because you could purchase with scouts, right? And then the scouts wouldn't die. So obviously we needed to purchase with scouts across the water. We could have, I think we could have afforded to wait a turn or two to get a boat out here to finish this. But alas, we did not. And we also chose to take a whack at these spears, or at this spear with some of our own spears. We'll be curious to see what Auro elects to do. Yep, and now we've fully chopped off the coast. So interestingly enough, this is very even between both players. It's kind of funny. They both have like this little weird bridge here, and then they both also have a crossing point here. Of course, the crossing point is stronger for the Tamil, but yeah, lots of interesting parity. And this just goes to show why you really, if you're going to be doing the shenanigans with tile buying, you really need to complete the plan. You're doing this piecemeal, like, oh, I got a border or whatever, is only half of the bargain. Tamil could have secured this coast and prevented any landfall whatsoever from the Persians indefinitely apart from the Persians building their own fleet. So, bit of a missed opportunity from the Tamil there. But love to see it. Love to see the yin-yang crisscrossing nature of this tile buying shenanigans. This, holy shit, this archer is going to murder this spear, though. 10 damage from 4 tiles away. Yeah, so I think we set up on this hill and start walloping some Tamil. Oh, yeah, and there's a Paltan. Yeah, it's going to be a nice time in Persia. Going to be a nice time in Persia. Wow. Ooh, and we're very angry now. We are furious with the artisans. Really need to get on the influence mission with this guy and get a convert up and running. Important not to forget the tricks, the tools in the toolbox when it comes to political opinion and managing that. Having turn 74 happen where we don't have a single religion on a family yet being adopted, that is very rare. And if that happens to you, you really need to find an opportunity with any religious leader that likes you to try and influence and convert somebody to literally any faith will do as long as they're happy with you. Doing some tile buying up north. Bit exposed on the worker front here. Really hope we see some aggression here. There's no real reason not. Yeah, there it is. Boom, look at that. 10, 11 damage. Jeez. Oh no, it was 10 damage. He got the 1 counter from attacking the spear. Yes. That is rough. That is rough indeed. Another archer. Now we're going to go plinky-plank with the spear. No, we're going to come back and heal up the spear. And then what are we going to do? We're going to come up with a fresh new spear. And then, what do we do? You don't technically need to buy new tiles, but it is... Oh, juicy. It is a hunter city. So no real reason not to buy tiles and give us some more borders. Like buying these 2 tiles and getting us a Sentinel Hill out here could be quite nice. We have plenty of gold. That would be really fun. Just a nice little Sentinel Bastion Hill, kind of in the midst of our Tamil adversaries. I think the strength of Persia is going to come to bear here. Because, this power difference is... I mean, it's not too bad. Not too bad. I'll be curious to see if we'll see a hop, skip, and a jump into different supremacies from the Tamil player. Always an emergency option if you think you need it. Can get that 20% combat boost, which would be useful against a Sentinel nation. Paladins up north. Oh, I love this. This is great. This is really great. Pressure the center. Get units down here to contest you. Fine. And then come blitz up north and do some damage. Kill a couple of workers. Take a city. Any of it will do. Onagers coming online for the Tamil in 3 turns. That's the timing that Auro would like to beat. So he's choosing a pretty solid time here, I think, in the game to try and make some type of move. No Citadel under construction in Vanchi. Really unfortunate. I'm wagging my finger at you, Mongreleyes, but of course you can't catch every detail. And of course, this is a second session. It can be easy to forget what you were up to when you reload the session and kind of forget to do something. That's relatively important. Even while furious, We're still doing 5 damage to that spear, but we definitely don't want to be furious with artisans. Or with anyone, really. Especially when it comes to fight. 6 damage from the landowner family. Interesting. We chose to fortify right here. Ooh, not sure I like this. I think this is inviting your spears to get killed. Wow, this is going to be 10 damage to that spear. Yeah, this spear is dead in 2 hits. What do we have for routing units in Tamil? Anything good? We don't have a single routing unit either, so normally if you're going to try and say trade units in a situation like this, you can say, sure, come across the bay, take out a couple spears with your fancy pants archers. I'll come in, I'll panic your spears out of the way. I'll damage your archers with cleave and, you know, a couple of nice whacks, or maybe even disarm them. And then I'll come in with a chariot and clean it up. But we don't have any routing units. To be honest, the sum total of our military is 14 units for the Tamil. I think he's big-braining this a little bit. I think he's thinking that he's going to zone lock. Yeah, he's going to zone lock this region. And yet I don't think Mongrel is aware of the fact that he's really just inviting 3 spears to get murdered. 3 out of 5 spears total to get murdered. And I don't think there's enough in the region to counter. Maybe we take a couple of kills off of our opponent afterwards, but with a stronger opponent, Auro is in fine position to... Jesus, wow. Okay, let's look at the Persian military. 22 units. So what do they say on Tamil? 14? 14 to 22 units, and we're about to lose 3 spears. Certainly at least 2 spears. So this... I think we actually might be tuning into the end of this match. Surprisingly, I thought I would have expected this to go even a little bit longer with more eco-turtle greed. Collapse these borders, prevent a landfall, get some ships, get your artisan bonus online. Your opponent would never be able to cross with all of that juicy stuff. Poured up along the edges here as well. But no, Auro managed to secure an opening. And I think he has the power to press the gas here. Honestly, I don't even think he needs to split forces and do whatever crazy shenanigans he's thinking up here. Of course, killing all these workers would certainly be a way to throw your opponent further and deeper into disarray. Let's look at the politics back in Tamil real quick. Again. Yeah, 2 workers dying will give us upset Chera. And 1 worker dying will get us almost near to cautious with our traders. So yeah, could be some severe political follow if he does run that northern harass campaign. But generally, I don't even think it's necessary. These paladins will do serious work against spears out in the open. Look at that. That's 12 damage. Right? Crazy, crazy, crazy. So, yeah. This is a nice spear, though, with Heckler and Horsebane. So if we can create an opportunity where we can kill this pretty easily, want to prioritize this unit, I would say, for Persia. And we're going to be swapping over to Persia's side now. So let's see what they choose to do. Really good politics in Persia as well. Friendly artisan family. Nope, sorry. Friendly hunters family. And very quick, very close opportunity to create... Oh, we are going for workers up north. Okay. Full-on harass campaign. We can spare it. Wow. We can spare it. Yeah, not looking good for Mongreleyes. I thought, when I loaded into this session, I thought he had a nice, strong position. Never got that Citadel up and running, even with the Judge on the throne. Huge oops there. Could have had all of these guys upgraded to 8 strength units and closer to the tension points of this map. Oh, nice. And we are, in fact, expanding our Sentinel borders. How do you like that? We are, in fact, doing that. Really want to make sure we kill this spear, though. This wants to happen this turn. So come up with these 3 units. No, wrong spear. Damn it. All right, well, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. But this is the better spear to kill because he's tactician. No. Sorry, he's heckler and horseback. So if we look at this spear, he's going to do 8 damage to this guy. This spear is going to do 10. So a little bit more efficient to kill this spear instead, but here we are. No big deal. We should be fine either way. Mongrel has dipped to weaker once more. And eventually, to fight a battle, I'm pretty sure he won't be able to leave a unit here. He could upgrade this worker to a militia, I suppose, and that could cover it. Sad to see a potential loss for the Tamil. I must admit I was rooting for Mongrel in the first half. Love to see Tamil scoring victories. Love to see Tamil doing well. I think there was a very, very strong potential to turtle in this game, and we just couldn't quite get it set up for the Tamil player. Unfortunately, because we almost... Like, we were so close. We had colonies for several turns before our opponent. We could have absolutely secured this coastline. Always unfortunate to see the strategic blunders like that be the deciding factor of these games, where a player is otherwise playing a relatively decent, solid game, getting themselves some advantages, getting themselves in a strong position, but then it's like one tactical or strategic blunder ends up just kicking the door wide open for your opponent to ruin your game and run away with the win. I think we might be looking at that situation here for the Tamil. No, yeah. So, Mongrel, if you see this, don't forget about politics, don't forget about influence, because what we're looking at here is, this is a plus 60 opinion builder. If you influence this guy, it's going to be pleased, which will then give you the opportunity to convert literally any member of this family to Zoroastrianism. It doesn't matter who it is, and then the family will convert. We're retreating with our nice, strong spear. I think that's going to leave the north open. Yep, we're retreating even further. We're abandoning the north. That is the correct call. There's really not much we can do to defend this part of the empire. And yeah, he's aware. And it's not really offering much for us anyway. So I definitely think it's time to abandon the north and try to consolidate in the south. This is the choke point we want to defend. We have onagers in 2 turns. Even though this creates a problem, even if it creates a problem long term for the Tamil player, not necessarily the end of the world. Not necessarily the end of the world, especially since the Tamil still will always have a potential route across the ocean there. Good guy Auro making sure that his opponent knows the game mechanics. What a guy, what a friend. Even in a competitive tournament match. Not everyone would afford you said courtesy. But yeah, it's nice to do that for your friends. Pretty sure Auro and Mongrel have played games together and practiced against each other. I know I've played practice matches against both of them. So, always nice to be nice to your friends. Yeah, what we need to do. Yeah, we need to get regrouping. We need to get migrating north. We need to shore up some defenses. Great news for the Tamil is a lot of the threat level coming from the Persians is ranged. And the entrance to our core is primarily forested out at this stage of the game, not urban. So that's going to be really good news, even if onagers show up for the Persians. And of course, we will have our own onagers soon as well. So I think Persia can get in, do what they want with these cities. Also, if you're really abandoning this stuff, go around and just delete all your workers. That way you don't take the opinion hit from your opponent. There's about 5 workers that are left exposed up north. And that's going to be a heavy opinion hit. And a nice cheesy little way to dodge that is to just delete them all. It doesn't spend any orders, doesn't take any orders. At least until Mohawk changes that, because this is now the 4th time I've pointed that out on stream, and we'll leave it to them to decide if they like that as an option or not. I'm fine with it. Either way, you're still losing workers, right? Or the other thing you can do in a situation like this is upgrade them to militia. They'll still die, but you won't take the opinion hit. So if you're leaving your workers hanging out here and you worry they're going to die, spend the orders to either delete them or spend the orders to upgrade them to militia. And that will give your opponent something else to attack. That's not going to damage your opinion. That's another opportunity. Excuse me. Forgive me. All right. Monasticism in 2 turns for the Persians. That's going to be a nice order bump, I'm assuming. Take a peek. Oh, and that will be our 7th law, which we know. Yeah, 7 orders per turn. Might as well just jump right into monotheism at this point. Skip the whole polytheism thing. I tend to skip the polytheism thing a lot. I like just to jump right for the orders. And we're coming in hot with a spear. Gonna take down an elephant. Also took a worker out in the north. And we're going in for a rout now as well. Really strong. Nice to see. We'll take out another worker for more damage. More political damage. Oh no! We could have brought in an archer. And routed again. But that's alright. Hopefully we kill that worker. I think that's going to be worth it. Yeah. Really damage. Dude, look at this nightmare situation in Tamil. Now we have upset landowners with cautious Pandya. Brutal, brutal, brutal. Brutal, brutal strike coming in from the Persians. This is crippling blow here. And we're still expanding. Love this. We're still expanding the Sentinel border to give us a opportunity for deep tactical healing as well as Sentinel on any archers that occupy the region. I really would like to see the purchase of this hill, but it's not a big deal. Mongrel Eye is saying, well, that fell apart quickly. Yes, indeed. It's amazing how quickly games can turn on a dime on you. You think you have time, you think you have an opportunity, and then suddenly everything just ends up on fire somehow. Another rebel in this artisan city. And yeah, our opinions is not looking so hot from the death of workers, primarily. And we're looking at not so great a time from the Tamil side. Auro saying, big build up, big boom. Not taking an opportunity to get flanking on this fella. Which is unfortunate, but there we are. Now would be the opportunity. What is our all? Oh, she's old. That's probably why we don't want to do it. This is a situation where I would, especially since the Cholas hate me anyway, I would, if I had spoked wheel, which the Tamils do not, I would imprison this oligarch to see if I could roll the dice on one of the other oligarchs. Unfortunately, though, lots of people are really old. I guess the best lucky grabs we could get here would be the 38-year-old zealot. If I was going to get an elderly person, the 62 commander would be better. One of the orators would be great. And then everything else is kind of the best you're going to do. I mean, diplomat might actually not be bad for resolving the political opinion issue, to be honest. Or orator for that. Warlike scholar could be fun as well. Yeah, lots and lots of... I don't know how the oligarchs are picked. I'm not 100% sure if it's done by age or not. I think it's just random, to be honest. If anybody knows, feel free to let me know. But yeah, lots of different potential characters who can take the lead of the Chola family. So normally what I would do is imprison and then set up my supremacy to swap. Now would be the time to kick in that sentinel bonus. Shield bearer on the air would also be quite lovely for this conflict. Whew. Man. Yeah. Things turn very quickly. Another boat coming out next turn as well, so it looks like... Looking like the Persians will secure this central rift. Nice to see the upgrading into the workers. Should do it with this one as well, since it's likely going to die. I'd even spend the extra order on it, because I really don't want to keep taking opinion hits. So I'd spend 160 training to upgrade this to a militia, to be totally honest, just to dodge more opinion being filtered into my Chola family. Although, I guess on the other hand, at negative 272, how much worse can it get? So maybe that's not worth it at all. I don't know. Hard to say. I'd be inclined to try and dodge the penalty, though. One more year on machinery. Zealot on the throne, plenty of training. So we will be able to rush out a couple of onagers, which could hopefully stop the Persians in their tracks. I definitely think the north will fall. But if we can stop them at the artisan seat, that will give us time. Time to do what? I'm not fully sure. Now that there's going to be a massive potential point advantage on the Persian side. And there has been no wonder spam from either player. The Great Stupa was the first wonder. Of course, the Tamil have the better stone economy. So they could try to sit back and keep spamming wonders for a little bit while trying to also build up. And of course, all that stone can become a crap load of onagers. Alright, the Persians' turn now. Let's see what they choose to do. Lots of options. Could keep harassing up in the north. How much damage would we do here? Yeah, these cities would fall quite handily to even just 2 units hanging out up there causing some trouble. Yeah, the north is just going to fall apart. Not much at all that the Tamil can do about it. Ooh. All right. Down goes another spear for the Tamil. Let's take a peek at the Tamil military. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 units. And there haven't been too many deaths for the Persians, so we can comfortably say that they're still well above 20 units. Probably looking at about 23, 25 units for the Persians. Compared to 11. Or what was it? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Yeah, 11. And one of those is the militia, so, I mean, kind of doesn't really count. I'm not counting ships, by the way. I typically don't bother counting ships. Unless there's, like, heavy naval engagement, then I'll just look at only the navy of the players. But when looking at unit totals in general, I don't bother counting ships. Because you can't win a land war with ships. So that's 1 dead spear from the Tamil. Can we bring this to another one? I'm going to hop over there now just to see what we're doing on orders. 22 orders left. Does look like we're going north. Not really sure what's up with the pillaging. Maybe we just want the yields, I guess. But yeah, causing damage. This city will fall pretty handily. Persia has eyes on the north completely now. Knows that there's nothing up here to harm him. So he's free to stage and bring the hammer down on this central choke point. And in 1 year, he will have 7 laws, still a judge on the throne. So he can get a citadel instantly. And start pumping out 8 strength units, should he wish to do so. Nice seeing some movement across the water from a couple of units as well. How many units are effectively in the region, though? So let's take a peek at that. That could join this fight. So I'll go everything from this region here. So we'll look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 units in the region compared to 11 units in the entirety of the Tamil military. So it is important to make sure I would migrate these guys a little bit north because I didn't count these guys. So this would be 14, 15. So next turn for Persia, I'd take a couple of orders and migrate these north. Possibly migrate these either north or start sending them south to harass this opening while your opponent is undoubtedly migrating units north to the central conflict. So that's something you can do with all of your extra orders. Just anything that splits up your opponent up and causes lots and lots of chaos and causes them to spend orders that they likely don't have. And if you're Tamil versus Persia and it's the mid game, or at any point in the game before they develop cartography and spam a bunch of harbors, you probably have more orders than them. Is there a good strategy for pillaging? Yes, there is one niche good strategy for pillaging, although it mostly involves burning, which doesn't get you your pillaging yields. But yes, well, technically there are 2 good strategies. The first good strategy is if you have the opportunity to deny strongholds or citadels to your opponent right around their power spike era, you can make it difficult for them to get their unique unit out into the board. So that's one thing that you can eyeball when it comes to pillaging stuff. The other thing is very specific and niche to artisan families. The artisan family, as we'll see here, gets a negative 20 opinion per pillaged improvement. So, if you're dealing with, let's say, a Greek player that relied heavily on artisan cities to get up to strong culture and generate a bunch of hoplites to come kill you, if you can somehow blitz into their territory with, a couple of chariots that will likely die and pillage all of their stuff, you could tank the artisan's opinion enough that they might not be able to rush out their units. And if you're in a situation like this, where it's possible for you to launch some harass into the territory, what you could do after all the pillaging happens is poach workers as they try to go around repairing the improvements, because it's much more important to repair artisans' improvements than any other improvements because of the opinion loss. The opinion loss, with enough of it, can be quite damaging to an artisan family. So generally speaking, denying of a strategic resource, so either a citadel, stronghold, a horse, if you have a horse-based unique unit nation, a camel, if you don't want to deal with camel spam, or elephants, etc., those types of things. And then the other thing is harassing artisans specifically to tank their opinion and make them weaker. Those are basically the only two pillage strategies that I can think of anyway. I'm sure there could be other ones, but those are the only two that particularly occur to me. And in general, it's better to burn. And burning, you spend training, you don't get the yield, and it doesn't put your unit on cooldown. Because you could come in here with a chariot, burn. Obviously, we can't reach because of spears, but let's say we anchor the ship and can cross the bay. You could come all the way in here with a Palatine chariot, burn this resource, and then just run back out, leaving you at no risk. And then, if someone is silly enough to come and repair the tile with a worker without putting a unit on top, well, then you can just come back, kill the worker, give them the 40 opinion penalty, and then pillage the damn improvement again and cackle all the way to the bank. And for anyone who doubts that strategy, I can assure you, not only have I done it, well, no, actually, I can assure you I haven't done it. But more importantly, I've had it done it against me. And it was nightmarish. And it took me completely by surprise. And it actually 100% caused me to lose the game. Because I was, in fact, Artisan's Greece. And I was planning on ortho-rushing myself a bunch of 8-strength phalangites. And just 4 chariots, even though I was able to kill them easily afterwards, just 4 chariots was enough to tank my opinion so far down that I was unable to rush units from my artisan cities. And then in my hubris and foolishness, as I took my first turn to go around and repair some of these pillaged improvements, they came back with another couple of chariots, which I did instantly kill afterwards, because I'm Greece, of course I did. But they came back with a couple of more chariots and killed like 3 of my workers, causing even more political discord for my artisan family, and then everything just collapsed and got way worse from there. Over time, really threw a wrench in my plans. It set me back by like 10 or 15 turns. I did eventually get my rush timing, but by that point it was too late, because my opponent bought themselves the 10 or 15 turns to get themselves better positioned to defend themselves against a crazy power spike. Because that is the nature of power spikes in this game, is they're kind of, what are they? They're like, they're very blunt force, right? You're either going to get that power spike and convert it to a win, or, your timing is going to be off, and or your opponent defends themselves, in which case it can fizzle out very quickly. It's very front-loaded strategy. Viable strategy, but front-loaded. Hey, Soren, welcome to the chat. Yes, no, this is a very elaborate yin-yanging aspect of this coastal tile buying thing. Unfortunately, Tamil had colonies for way longer than Persia, but they stopped collapsing coastlines, which allowed Persia to get colonies and launch this incursion. If Tamil just stuck to their guns and collapsed this border when they had the chance, they literally had like a 15-turn lead. Like, there were 10 turns or so where Persia did not have colonies and Tamil did. Then none of this treachery would be happening right now, and Tamil would be able to continue playing a chill, eco, greed, likely wonder spam to points win. But the Persians are crafty peoples. And now Tamil is on the back foot and is looking like they're going to lose the entire northern part of their empire. So, kudos to Auro. And yeah, love it or hate it, tile buying shenanigans are a very definitive tactical part of this game. So if you're not familiar with that mechanic, unless Mohawk ever decides to change it, you need to be aware of the implications of where these snaky borders can end up and in what ways they can really screw you over if you allow your opponent an opportunity to tile buy and set up landfalls and borders across these kind of coastal situations. Because really, I mean, even I myself have had so many games end to players like Ninja or Auro or whomever else just kind of waltzing around a defensive point that I set up just because, they got colonies on the right time, they sent a bunch of scouts, ships, and or whatever else to tile by, and then now I have a landfall location that there's no counter to, right? You can't stop this. Once it's here, it's here. Maybe you can plug the hole if you ever get the army out of here, but once the hole is created, it's open forever unless you're able to plug it with a unit. So there's never any way to get rid of borders. So it's a very, very powerful mechanic. Colonies is the immensely strategic law to make use of. And if you're unfamiliar with it, it can really, really catch you by surprise, as Mongrel is seeing here, because he thought he was safe, and then things rapidly deteriorated as soon as Persia was able to make an incursion onto his territory. But that is partly Mongrel's fault. He did have the opportunity to completely secure this coast, including, like, this would have been Tamil border, and this could have been Tamil border, which would have completely denied Persia the opening for any landfall whatsoever, but they just did not complete the coastal tile buys. So even if you're going to play defensive and you're going to use colonies, make sure you get the full scope and breadth of your coastline if you're dealing with one of these highly strategically valuable central lake layouts. Because, yeah, it can cost you the game, and it might very well cost the game for Tamil here. So, great play from Auro. Good thinking, good read of the map. 2 turns on steel for the Tamil, and we have our first onager up, which is going to be a great sign. 2 great locations for this. We could plop them right on this hill and try to protect the northern city. Or we can plop them right on this hill or in the city itself and defend the choke point. Both seem like valid options. I think the northern city is going to fall regardless, but if we try to defend it, all right, we are going south. I feel like if we did try to defend it with some coastal movement and stuff, we would be able to do that. I think the siege are going to do a lot of damage here. And I think this choke is tight enough that we don't necessarily need the onager down here. But of course, it's going to help. So, I mean, not bad. Not necessarily a bad decision. All right, and now it's up to Persia to break through here. An anchor coming down, which is horrible news for the Tamil. They'll have to be... I wonder if they spot this. I feel like they may not spot this. Fortunately for the Tamil, there's really not much in the region that can really cross. But anything is worse than nothing, so... Yeah, Storin with the strategic advice, loving his biremes, loving his ship. After the whole tile buying thing that I went on talking about. Yes, indeed, of course, a navy could fix all that. And Zophister earlier in the chat pointed out that his shot, I think it was Zophister, no, it was Tsunumi, Sinonumi, however you say your name, my apologies, pointed out that it was shocking to see neither nation building a single ship. It was like turn 70, so it was only 9 turns ago where the first ship even hit the map for either nation. It was Tamil. Tamil got the boat first. So Tamil had a boat in the water first, and units on this coast before any of this tile buying happened. So that's why they really just dropped the ball on that front, because they could have easily secured the coast. They literally just, I think when they wrote this, and I think this was two or three tile buys when they rectified this problem after Persia showed up with the ability to buy this tile. And then, of course, this would have just been 1 tile buy. So, literally with 3 or 4 tile buys, the Tamil could have corrected this issue, and it would have never. This war would not have happened. Maybe Persia still comes up in the north, and you have to send yourself up here, and that could still be a problem. Especially if Persians get ships, like they've done. But definitely would have been an easier time. Definitely could have been an easier time. Onager up, looking good though. Militia on this tile. That's pretty solid. The nice thing about militia is, unless you're talking about really endgame units, it usually takes 2 or 3 attacks to kill a militia. So they're really, really good at body blocking. I think they're underrated as body blockers. I mean, obviously, if you're relying on militia, that's probably not the best situation to be with, but I'm a crazy person who likes to get myself like a massive, these are all gold nets, but like a massive, traders hub that can one-turn militia, and I love spamming them out, getting like a dozen or so of them on the defense anyway, and just creating a super annoying situation where you could just keep throwing militia into a problem, and that's like, basically, if we look at Persia here, right? They would have to do one of 2 things. They either waste 3 units attacks killing this militia, or they used 1 of these really strong units plus another attacks to kill this militia. So either way, that is I call that a win for the defender, because you're wasting orders and you're wasting strong damage output. Like this, you could be using these units to kill an elephant, and instead you're going to be using those units to kill a militia. So I think militia make a surprisingly potent defense if you have a high growth location that can churn a couple out for you without wasting your build queues. You definitely don't want to spend 4, 5, or 6 turn building militia. That's silly. But if you have a really potent growth location, which I tend to do because I love landowners and granaries and traders families, yeah, can be pretty easy to crank out a couple of 1 or 2 turn militia just to gum up the works for your opponent. Skipper, I almost co-casted with you. I forgot this game was happening. I was going to offer to co-cast the match that you just covered, and I do appreciate that you covered that. But when I noticed you were having internet connections, I was actually going to ask if you wanted to swap over to me hosting the game on my channel. Because fortunately, I haven't had much in the way of connection issues this season. But then I was reminded that this match was happening, so I didn't offer to do that because the show must go on. Zealot on a archer for the Tamil, and I think we might end up... Oh yeah, we're killing this onager. There we go, going in for a rout. So this onager... 61 orders for the Persians, by the way. So this onager is going down. Never got a chance to fire. Ouch. Ouch. I like going for the slinger there. It can make sense to attack the zealot, but the issue with that is that you're probably not going to be able to kill the zealot, so there's kind of no point in killing a zealot ruler on a general, or attacking rather, a zealot ruler on a general, unless you can kill it, because it's just going to heal next turn if it gets a kill. So that, I think, applying the damage to the slinger does actually make more sense there. So cool to see that level of detail coming from Auro, tactically speaking. Because, yeah, really no point in wasting throwing any damage into a zealot that might just heal. I mean, I guess 8 damage is better than none, but when it heals up, it will only be 3 damage. So maybe if you stacked up a bunch of attacks. However, again, we don't really have anything in the position to really dogpile this fella right here. So might as well just get some solid damage on a different unit. Thanks for the feedback on the tournament, guys. Please feel free to hop on Discord. We have our own Discord channel. It's probably not highlighted for some of you if you haven't hopped in before, but it's in the community events section where you would find the regular tournament page, and it's for feedback. So one thing I'll mention about feedback is last season we got a lot of feedback about the tournament style, pros, cons, things that people liked, things that people didn't like, and just brand new ideas. And I can personally attest for the fact that we comb through every possible suggestion, because I know I read the suggestion forum like 5 different times, and we addressed every single suggestion, whether we adopted changes or used those concerns to try and come up with a different solution to the potential problem. But in some form or another, we tried to incorporate at least a little bit of the feedback that came from all the players and the audience. My general standpoint on that is we prioritize player participation over viewership specifically, because of course the players taking the time to play these games, schedule these games, and also put themselves out there to be watched and commented on. I think it's important to accommodate them the most, but of course it is also nice to put on a great show for you guys. So feel free to hop on the Discord or leave comments on YouTube about anything that you like, dislike, would like to see in the next season, thoughts, criticisms, anything else. This goes for casters, this goes for tournament structure, it goes for rules, it goes for everything. And we'll take a look at it, and we'll come up with new ideas. We already have learned so many new things from the start of this tournament, things that we love and things that we might want to do better for next time. So, any amount of community involvement helps. Last stand here from the Tamil. Let's take a peek. So, their army count is actually growing, which is nice. Last time I checked, they had about 11 units. It looks like they have approximately 15 now. So, despite this situation that they're in, their army is actually growing, which is quite nice. I don't believe that's going to be enough. We're going to get a disarm. Yeah, I'd love to see this pop off. Are they nerfing forts? Maybe someday. I don't think we'll see forts get nerfed until we see demonstrable evidence on screen of the nightmare that they can cause in a given game. We all know what they can do, but until I think it becomes one of those things that everybody is causing every single game to devolve into a forted up stalemate, do I think Mohawk would ever make any changes to forts. I think there's a very easy change that would make forts more tactical and involve better planning, and that would just make it so forts can't be built directly next to each other. Unless they're across a river, by the way, because that makes sense. That seems fine, because of the whole zone of control thing. But, yeah, I think restricting forts from being able to be built directly adjacent to each other would be a very minor, or a very simple, but with having nice, strong tactical implications. But it's up in the air whether that's even necessary, so we'll see. I think forts are very strong. I use them a lot. But not everybody does. So, depends. Or just buff elephants. We don't need to buff elephants. Elephants are already amazing. Elephants have so much longevity in this game strictly because of panic. Like, even in the late stage, when there are tons of 8 strength or 12 strength units running around, elephants still hold their weight, because the ability to panic stuff out of position and or unlimber or relimber or I guess it's called limber in general. Limber onagers is highly valuable. This elephant is completely dead. That is a terrible place to heal that elephant. Feels so bad for Mongrel. I think he's going to get super murdered next turn. You want to see me take a shot every time a unit dies? I hate to break it to you, I don't drink, so that will not happen. But, maybe we can come up with something else that's just as fun. Let's see. Yeah, alright. Catching up with chat. Yep, alright. I'm all caught up with chat. Hard to read and cast at the same time, especially because I follow chat with my phone, so I need a second monitor. That would be handy. Alright, 0 orders on the Tamil. 31 orders per turn, by the way, on the Tamil. If we hop on over to Persia, they have a whopping 61. That's double the orders, double the, probably more than double the size of the military at this point. 3 times. Yeah, so I think this entire Tamil army gets obliterated this turn. Or for the most part, maybe. And then, yeah, because we have some routing potential. Although these forests are handy against the Paltans. So maybe only half of this army gets obliterated. We'll have to see. But yeah, I don't foresee... I think Tamil were completely caught off guard by this surprise crossing. To the point where even when there was initial opportunity to maybe push it back or prevent it from getting worse, I think Tamil didn't adjust appropriately. Kind of had a real strong moment of disarray. We've lost a city in the north. We have another city going down in the north as well. I like the kind of two-pronged element where even if we get stalled out here in the center and can't break into Tamil, we've at least achieved a great objective in this game of securing an entire new part of the map for ourselves with 3 new cities. So I like, if you have the order economy to do that, I like using units like Paltans and Mounted Lancers to do that. That's what makes Mounted Lancers one of my favorite units in the game. They are exceptional at this type of tactic. 3 Mounted Lancers, while you have your opponent's army in one location, can go by themselves and just explode city after city after city with very, very little that your opponent can do about it because they're so fast and they're so unstoppable if there are no units nearby to deal with them. And even if there are units nearby to deal with them, the Mounted Lancer can typically just run around them. They can just run circles around everybody. So that's one of the reasons why they make my favorite, that those units are my personal favorite unit in the game, I think. All right, coming in hot with more units. Ooh. Interesting. I would have liked to see this opening up a route for us, but no big deal. We're going for... Okay, we're going for the damage. 2 archers down. Pretty handily. Sorry, 2 archers. We need something. We have a Paltan nearby that can get down here. This Paltan can get down here with a force march. If we want it. Nope, we're going to go kill rebels. That's okay. Skipper once again declaring that they just wish the Mounted Lancers remain chariots. Yeah. Yeah, they're a weird unit. They look like a melee unit, but they are a ranged unit. They're also named as if they're a melee unit. And also, I never really realized that spear throwing from horseback was much of a thing. So I don't quite get why they're a ranged unit. I don't think that should be changed. I love that they're a ranged unit. Again, one of my favorite units in the game. But the model and everything is a little weird to me. I wonder what happened there in terms of design. If they were always intended to be a ranged unit, or maybe the model was supposed to be a different unit. Yeah, I have no idea. But it's definitely a weird upgrade path from one unit to another. Because I think of all the units in the game, those 2 units are the 2 units that distinctly do not look like each other. This is not an elimination game. We are in round 2 of the tournament. Eliminations will not begin until the next round. Both of these players have won their first match. So, whoever loses this game still has another 2 games. So just a brief rundown of how this is going to work in the qualifying part of the tournament is anybody who's going to get eliminated has to lose 3 games. Right? And what happens is, as people win matches, the winners are going to get paired against other winners. So Auro and Mongreleyes both won their first game, and now they're up against each other. So whoever loses this match is actually only going to be losing their first game of the qualifying series, which means they can actually go on to lose one other game before they are in threat of an elimination. And they'll still be able to keep playing. And then, of course, while all that's happening, any player, whether you go undefeated or you've lost 2 games, if they go on to win 3 games in a row, or not in a row, if they go on to win 3 games during the qualifying Swiss portion of the tournament, which will last 5 rounds. Again, we are in round 2 for the New World Americas division, and round 2 will begin shortly for the Old World division, which is the Euro, Africa, Asia time zones. Yes, the Swiss tournament portion of the tournament is gonna last 5 rounds regardless. Anybody who wins their first 3 games will qualify for the championships, and they actually don't need to play at all, and they won't be playing at all in round 4 and 5. So they get a little bit of a break and some time for practice. If you lose 2 games at any point, then you will be on your way to round 4 or 5 to face your elimination. So everybody's good and still in the tournament, and we'll see our first eliminations in round 3 next round. TDRP says Klaus Koala is going to win again. Spoiler alert from the future. I don't know. Maybe. We have a lot of strong competitors this season. And tons of people from the previous season have gotten better. There were quite a few players who I've practiced with last season who never won a match against me. And then in the pre-season of this tournament, I played with a handful of those players, and a good amount of them beat me consistently now. So the increase in skill level between tournaments is absolutely noticeable, and I'm not the only person who said that, who has said as such. Fluffy Bunny has had players who have normally never won against him, ended up, squeezing out wins. Klaus Koala himself has lost a couple practice matches. Aaron has lost a couple practice matches. We've had new players who've never played multiplayer or been part of the scene come in and beat a handful of us. So yeah, there's a couple of people in this tournament to watch out for who are pretty skilled. So I really don't think... I think all bets are off. I don't think anybody's a shoo-in to win the whole thing yet. I think you could make a fair case for some players who are definitely going to qualify for the championship. Like Aaron has already lost a game, but I'm pretty convinced he'll make it to the championships regardless. Because again, you're relying on those players like Klaus and Aaron and even Auro here, Even if Auro were to lose in this game, you're going to have to rely on them losing 3 games within 5 rounds. And I think for some players, that's going to be challenging. Because some players in this tournament are pretty good. Also, don't apologize for jumping in. We love it when you guys pop in. Pop around, pop in, go on the old playlist. There's more content than any of us would ever reasonably be able to consume, and that's exactly what we're aiming for. We want you guys to have stuff to watch. And if you want to try and watch it all, go for it. I spend most of my time these days either casting or rewatching games, mostly because I'm so involved with the tournament, but also because I love this game and I'm addicted to it. So, I mean, it is what it is. Crazy stuff is happening here. Tamel's trying to do whatever they can to get some kills. 2 onagers out, but we need to be very careful where they land so the Persians can't kill them. In 4 turns, when Persia takes the city, they'll have another potential landfall route coming in to this core, making it trickier and trickier to defend this city. I really think this is a tall order for the Tamil, which is just such a shame because I'm rooting for the Tamil to do well in the tournament. I think they're a strong nation. They're just a hard nation to play. And they have weaknesses, right? They're a strong nation, but they have their weaknesses. I don't think their weaknesses are enough to make them a weak nation, but you really just need to know what you're doing if you're going to get behind the wheel of the Tamil nation and try to pull off a win. And of course, Auro is a skilled player, so Mongreleyes just needed to make sure that he prevented himself from giving Auro an open, and we just didn't see that happening in this game. And of course, I always root, similar to TDRP says in chat, class will only play Carthage. I wanted him to lose so bad because Carthage is stupid. I agree. And I also feel a little bit similar about Persia, only because everybody thinks Persia is the best nation in the game simply because of their order eco, and I don't necessarily agree. I think their orders are great, but I don't think their orders define games as much as people think it does. Obviously, the order advantage in this particular game is massive at this stage. The game 60 to 30 is insane. And a good portion of that has to do with the fact that Persia is doing Persia things. But the Tamil player did make a blunder here. They accidentally left their door wide open for Persians to come on in and party. And are we actually seeing? Nice! I called this a while back. The migration toward this border city as your opponent takes units north to defend this core. So this is the advantage of all these orders, right? Is that you can do these kind of minor attacks elsewhere, and it's just really going to bring the hammer down on your opponent and have everything collapse. Yeah. Well, Persia also has a fantastic unique unit. I think the Paulton makes a strong case for being one of the best units in the game as well. Mostly because it's cheap, right? Persia gets the range unit discount, which affects their unique unit. So it's basically 25% off. I think that's it. And also, unlike many mounted units, it's upkeep, right? Not even just its, where is it? Not even just its cost. I'll do the cataphract version. Yeah, its upkeep is primarily metal. So that's the thing that you want to think about when thinking about this unit. It costs food and metal instead of food and wood, right? So it's cheaper to produce than the regular chariot variants because you don't need to worry about your wood income. You can just build a bunch of mines. But then more importantly, on top of that, unlike, let's say, a mounted lancer, let's take a peek over here, mounted lancer, which has food and wood. Look at its upkeep. Its upkeep is all food, 6 food. So if we go back to the cataphract situation here, yeah, look at this. Its upkeep is only 4 metal. 4 metal, 1 food. It's so much cheaper to maintain than other units, and it's cheaper to build, both because metal is easier to maintain and also because Persia gets a discount. So not only that, it's a ranged unit that can route, it's mounted, is strong for all sorts of different reasons, but most importantly and most often overlooked in my opinion, it's super, super cheap. And that's what I think makes Persia more dangerous than other aspects of their kit, is their unique unit is just gross. For less obvious reasons, but it's gross. Metal is probably the easiest strategic resource to maintain in the game. Because it doesn't really matter where you put your mines. And nothing really competes with metal all that much. So there's that too. Persia taking their time here. I think they're going to go in for the Zealot kill now. Nice. Nice. I think they can pull this off. Nice. This is a monstrous unit, by the way. making great use of the ranger promotion. And we're going to do a little poke with the slinger to get the kill down. Oh, and for good measure, we burned this iron. Great. Now the question is, can we get a Paulton in here? Oh, we're force marching. Yep, great, that's fine. Force marching. Can we get a Paulton in here? This was our chance, but we chose to heal him, so that's okay. Going to take some heavy onager fire next turn, but I think we'll be all right. What I'd like to see from Persia is taking their order advantage. Because look at this massive army that we have in this unit tab, right? In relation to the amount of units that we see on the screen right here. So I would like to see Persia taking orders and trying to migrate some units from these back lines a little bit. Even just 1 or 2 units per turn will come in handy as we try to bring down the hammer. Yes, and no forest fires indeed for the mines. Three turns on onagers for the Persian. Don't think we'll need them. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't think I was expecting this session to end here. Especially when I loaded in. Tamil looked in a very strong position. Science-wise, econ-wise, ability to wonder spam-wise. Their only real weakness was that they were, in fact, weaker than their opponent. But Persia didn't have a way in at first. And so it's really unfortunate that Tamil missed the opportunity to close off these borders. Yep, and the north has fallen. Still could have been potentially challenging dealing with Persia coming full force in the north. They would have been able to do that regardless. But at that at the very least, I think would have bought Tamil more time to maybe shore up a strong defense here at Thanjavur. But that, yeah, just not in the cards. His turn. Ballista in 1 turn. That would be handy, 10 turns ago. You see, and it looks like Mongrel will be able to take back the city. Really intrigued to see if they can come back. Maybe. Possible. It's still a good science output. The biggest issue we have now is that we have 8 strength cataphract archers coming out. So that's going to be really tricky to deal with. Just a couple of these. I would build 1, bring them over here. I'd build a second one, bring them over here. And then even just 2 coming in. Oh, and they're riders, so they have flanking. Fantastic. Even just 2 coming in on this situation will be really tricky to deal with, I think. But, yeah, I mean, onagers are always tricky to attack into, and Persia is putting themselves in a bit of a kill box here. So it could be possible for there to be a pushback. Of course, Persia does now completely control the ocean, which will make it even easier for them to reinforce and keep the pressure on the Tamil unit. The Tamil army will very likely not be able to recapture cities as long as Persia can continue to exert pressure on this isthmus, on this volcanic pass with which the Tamil would need to cross to retake a city. It would be very, very difficult to cross northward while Persians can just leap across this rift. How many city sites there are? 18, I believe, on the map. I believe there are 18. I believe each player had 9 at the start of the session, while they had split the map right down the middle. So, I believe that means... In fact, I can look at Persia still. Yeah, 9. So with 18 on the map, Persia just gained 3, or is currently in the process of gaining 3 from the Tamil. Which, as crazy as it sounds, even that is not necessarily insurmountable if the Tamil had a reasonable path to try and repel some of this attack. Because these northern cities aren't really that well developed anyway. So Persia's not going to get too much from bringing them into the empire. Like, most of the Tamil core is where all the action is at. Oh, again, love to see this filtering in here. This is going to be more pressure than the Tamil has any ability to deal with. Even this city could fall to just a couple of spears and some slingers. And there's not much that the Tamil can do about it. Really, really unfortunate. And, of course, the artisans are furious, so we can't even rush out of some of these cities. Artisans never adopting a religion all game. Isn't that wacky? Isn't that wacky? Wild. I hate when that happens. Yeah, this is a three-front war for the Tamil. Action happening in the north, action happening in the heart of the empire by the core, and now action happening in the south. And that's one thing that you can do with such a massive ordered advantage. Same here, Soren. Me too. I think people knock a second front too. They're like, oh, you need the orders and it's bad to split army. And fundamentally, that's true to a degree. But I really think like high-value, quick units like Cataphract Archers or Paltons, just a couple of them can cause serious disarray for an opponent if you use them right. Again, another reason why I love the Mounted Lancer. Yeah, and I don't think enough people explore opening up a second front. And of course, with Persia right here, this is such a dominant position that there's no real reason not to, because all the action is on this center. So you had a couple units down here anyway. No real reason not to just send them along this path, because if nothing else, this causes morale damage and anxiety for your opponent, because now they're looking in too many different locations, and that the more, I guess this goes for both sides, because if you try to open up a second front, then maybe it backfires and you've made a mistake. But I think it's a great way to apply pressure to your opponent and make them more likely to make a mistake. You know, maybe Tamil does something silly like tries to send this elephant down south. You know, whether that's the correct call or not, I don't know, but it seems like a bad idea to lay off of this front, right? So I think you create more and more opportunities for your opponent to make mistakes. Nice, we're going to kill a spear here. Oh, or maybe not. Yes, no, we got it. Great, 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 great. Cool. Hopefully we remember to unlimber this onager. Has not happened yet. Yeah, Auro's doing very well here. And it's certainly the order advantage translating to an advantage in the map. And, I mean, the Tamil have a notorious... Well, I don't know what's notorious, because nobody knows how they work. Notorious in my mind. Tamil have the worst order economy in the game, which is so fun, because then if you scale into the late game and actually manage to get cartography, harbors, and swap into the Chola bonus, then they suddenly and miraculously have the best order economy in the game, which is pretty funny. So in the first half of the game, there is pretty much no one worse. They're right up there with Greece and Babylon for the worst order economy. But unlike Babylon, they don't have Hunter's family, and they don't have a king shrine. And unlike Greece, they don't have a king shrine. So wonder spamming won't get them any extra orders. So yeah, they have nothing that generates orders until the harbor boost in the mid to late game. But man, if you get there, I've done this a couple of times, even in multiplayer duels. If you get there, suddenly you end up with an extra 20 orders per turn that no nation would ever have. And that's quite nice. You can really get a crazy payout. And on a map such as this, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, potentially 7 cities with borders touching coastline, you would get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's 14 harbors. But then there are a way to buff the harbors. This war makes God sad. Yes, Doom! Doom has come to the old world in the form of a massive drought, Love a late game drought. Really ravages the economy. Negative 70 food here. That's nearly 600 gold worth of food per turn. Depending on how you map it out. I tend to map out prices by using the sale price of like what would I be selling the stuff for. Lots of people use the buy price for some reason, and I don't quite really understand that logic, but it's a thing, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, that's gonna ravage the economy a little bit. Although I guess they most recently made droughts have the ability to end a little bit sooner. But I love the drought. The drought is my favorite calamity in the game. I hate the visual because I hate the tint on the screen, but the effect of it is awesome. And actually, on that note, the Tamil win the drought survival contest because their food output is in the positive even despite the drought. I always like comparing both nations once the drought hit to see who takes a bigger hit from the drought once it kicks in. And we have Persia with negative 33, and Tamil had something like positive 30 something. But that's cool. Good job from the Tamil there. Food preparation. I love the calamities, man. I thought I was going to hate the calamities when they were coming out. But it turns out I love them, which is surprising to me. But I guess not too surprising because for some reason I think everything this game does is awesome. Well, that's not... That's actually not totally true because I complain about tons of stuff, but here we are. Alright, Persia, how many orders do you have left? 61? It's go time. 61 orders. Building a road. Really would love to see a nice, juicy route from... This is the... Where is our cataphract? Oh, here it is. It's coming in. Ooh, yeah. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking to 10 damage. Oh, there we go right now. We're going in right now with the cataphract. Boom. That's going to get us 1 kill there. And it's going to get us a dead slinger. And very easily a dead elephant. And then if we can get more damage back here somehow, we could see ourselves with... Oh, we're out of force march potential, so I don't think we'll get many onagers with just this cataphract. But we'll definitely kill 2 more units. Tamil is still weaker. Hasn't dipped to much weaker just yet. Looks like we're running out of momentum here. Don't think we have any further ranged potential. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. To try and crack into these onagers right now. It would have been nice to maybe force march and try to do some treachery back here with the onager line, but... At least... Oh! Do we get another one? We do! We get it! Great! Nice! I didn't notice that archer. Great. Fantastic. Fantastic. So only... This onager was never unlimbered, so only 1 onager can fire on this paladin, on this cataphract archer anyway. Of course, there are spears in the region, so this thing can go down, but that is a devastating blow. That's 4 units down this turn. Nice, and there's another one, a 5th one. It's a militia, but a unit nonetheless. And we are going for this onager. Can we come in with a new with a paladin? Maybe. Maybe get... Oh, no, we don't have the force march. We don't have the training. Okay, still. Pretty solid. Pretty solid. That's devastating. 5 units down. Volcanoes are weird. They do affect the whole city that they touch, though. It's easy to think that they just do the tiles, but they also drop tile yields for the entire city territory of any cities that they're in as well. That's easy to overlook. But yeah, they're not as bad as some of the other calamities. They can be annoying, though. I think floods and droughts are my favorite in terms of effects, and floods are visually awesome. What are we doing? I saw more movement. Oh, coming down with this guy. This is great. Yeah, really just amazing, amazing attack from Auro here. Beautifully executing the plan. These tile buyings, not this whole extent, but these tile buy to secure a border were all done on the same turn that Auro unlocked a late-stage navigation and adopted colonies. So this really took the Tamil player by surprise. He made a little bit of landfall, and then just everything spiraled from there. He had the two Paltons and a couple spears up here ready to go to launch a northern invasion. He scouted it properly. Yeah, so really, really cool. And now he's also down here taking Kuravar. Yeah. The Tamil Empire shall fall today. Which is, of course, incredibly sad. Ballista coming up, though. Too little, too late. Hello, Alcaris. Welcome to the chat, buddy. Just in time to see the fall of the Tamil kingdoms. Another win for Persia. I think Persia's the most played in the tournament so far, if I were to guess. I haven't looked at the stats in a while, but I don't think they have the most amazing win rate. I think it's pretty even. I have to double check. Maybe I'll do a glance after this game. No Chola supremacy. Yeah, they never made the swap. I called that out a while ago, but I think once they saw this craziness happen, they should have made the swap. And also because the Cholas hate us. They're furious. So having a Chola ruler on the throne would have gone a long way to smooth over that family opinion as well. And then we could have converted ourselves as ruler to a religion which I'm pretty sure would have converted the family. I don't remember how that works directly, but yeah. This will bring Persia to 6 out of 10. Yeah, see, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's relatively even. And really, I think this game at one point could have gone either way. If Tamil had done the appropriate tile buying and turtled up a little bit better. It's kind of one of those things. If you're going to go for the turtle game, you need to make sure you secure your turtle. All right, Mongreleyes with the good game. Nice. Very, very well played by Auro. Beautifully executed second session. I genuinely did not expect this to end with an aggressive climax in this session. I really thought Auro was just gonna... Not Auro, Mongreleyes was going to eco-greed, wonder spam himself to a close point victory before Persia was going to be in any position to aggress. So really, really major props to Auro on this crossing shenanigans. Beautifully executed. Let's see if I can get them in for a post-game chat. All right. Wow. Yeah, amazing game. Let's look at that military score. Yeah. Just a little bit more defense. Because look at this. Both units lost. Both armies lost a similar percentage of units in this fight. You really got to set up that turtle if you're going to turtle.
Hey.
Hello!
Hey.
Good game. Mongreleyes. Ended a lot sooner than I thought it was going to end.
Hello.
I can hear you, Mongrel.
Can you hear?
Can you-
Way better. Okay, great.
Yep.
Way better. Damn, that fell apart very quickly.
I know it. Even I was saying, I don't know if you heard me just now, but even I was not expecting this to go to a conclusion in this session. I thought you were going to really show up the kind of eco greed turtle wonder spam thing. But yeah, man, Auro coming across
Yeah.
that water with the surprise. I didn't notice that at first. I was like, oh, he's buying tiles. So yeah, props to you, Auro. Well done.
Yeah. No, really, really well done. My whole thing was I knew I couldn't. After kind of looking at the map, I was like, "There's no way I can beat you in a war. You've got more orders and everything." But I thought I could out economy you, so I was trying to just all my tile buying was to keep myself safe. Except I forgot to buy a couple key tiles there in the changeover from the one day to the next, and then it was too late.
Such a weird, fun map with maps with water in the middle are commonish, but maps where all of the water is like 2 tiles viable wide that was pretty crazy. And in the beginning, you were like totally I remember like early turns, you were like erudite and stronger, and I'm just like, shit, like I'm glad this little strip of water is here. And then later on, obviously the tables turned and there were those couple gaps.
Yeah. What happened to you, I would say around turn 30ish or so? I swear you changed rulers 4 times in the span of 8 turns.
Yeah, it was like everybody was dying, and I had literally watched Scion's stream that morning of another game where he explained this mechanic that I didn't even know existed, where you can change your succession rules to be like the youngest inherits or whatever. And I was about to get a zealot or a commander or something when you're just wrecking me on the econ, and you can make that change as I learned without harming opinion. So I swapped it and got the judge that I think is still my ruler now. So.
Yeah. Oh, got you. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because there was a period there where it's somebody died and somebody switched, and that was my first time playing Tamil in in a game against. I played it single player a few times, and I thought it'd be cool for this map. But what I didn't reckon with is when you found a religion, your religion head doesn't necessarily come from the city that you found it in.
Yeah.
So that screwed me in the first 20 turns, because all of a sudden it was a Chola religion head. And the other thing I didn't realize as well was your starting leader isn't always from the family. Sometimes they just don't have a family. They're not necessarily from your founding family. That's what happened to me. So I didn't have the leader. I didn't have the leader points.
Yeah, and multiplayer, when with these custom play styles, the leader doesn't count for points. Which in a lot of ways, the more one explores Tamil and different possibilities with them, in a lot of ways, I actually think that's a good thing, because if you want to swap for any reason, it can become very difficult if the ruler isn't is part of a family. And with respect to the shrine thing, I think that's one reason. One easy workaround for the religion thing is if you build a shrine, basically first improvement in your capital, that can give you a really strong chance that you will have.
Right. Because there's nobody else. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. Exactly. And Tamil's lucky because they have a growth shrine anyway, so you can first shrine in the cap if you want to secure that supremacy, and you don't really lose much tempo there because it's a 2 growth improvement anyway, which is probably what you'd be improving if you were going to improve a farm or something, or fish or something else. So you can always first shrine.
Yeah, it's an interesting civ, because you can. It's while you're building economy, if you keep landowners, you're also getting stronger militarily.
Oh, it's awesome!
And all you got to do is spam, some rural specialists, and it makes you stronger in terms of being able to build forces as well, which is kind of cool.
What happened with your Furious Artisans? Was that?
I have no idea. Honestly, that was the other thing that got me, because I kind of wasn't paying attention, because I didn't. Once I saw that thing, I didn't really have any family problems. I didn't think so. I just stopped paying attention in this play. this time around, really, to my family, is I was just in this zone of like, when do I get enough money to do the mausoleum? Because I was in this whole thing of like, I'm gonna do the mausoleum, I'm gonna turtle up, and then I've got more economy, so I'll win out on points. And I just, blanked on a whole bunch of things, including that pal buying, and then I have no idea how that family all of a sudden went to like minus 200. And like there was a point there when you were killing workers and thing where I was at like minus 330.
Wow. Yeah, that was like the trigger that made me like when I originally just stuck that one spearman over the border over the lake, like I wasn't planning to like invade, but then when I moused over and I saw Furious, it's like, hey, I gotta like take this opportunity.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was really good game though, man. That was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Great game, super fun, and it felt very back and forth and like sort of imbalanced in a fun way. In that, like, like I looking at this like national wealth score and like the science throughout the game, like, there was stuff where you were way ahead, and then like looking at the orders where I was way ahead, and great game.
Yeah, I figured like, I mean, Persia, like not having traders in that map felt like, okay, economically you were going to be at a disadvantage, but I knew you were going to be kicking my ass, probably like militarily for sure, and then also just like orders and everything too.
Yeah, I definitely had you. I definitely think you had a window. I definitely called out a couple of times the unfortunate reality of you forgetting to close off their coast, because I mean, who knows? Maybe Persia could have stronged their way all the way up on the north. They definitely had a path there, but I think it would have given you an opportunity to defend better at least. And of course, Persia did get ships, so who knows? But it was sad to see how quickly things just blew up. And one thing I did want to point out, though, with respect to the Chola or artisan opinion, this is something that is so rare to me. I never see this, or very rarely see this, but your Chola family never adopted a religion.
Oh, okay.
They don't have a single religious character, and they don't have a family religion yet. So like, for example, if they were Hindu right now, you'd only have something like negative 30 opinion with them, because all of that positive Hindu opinion would be going to Chola right now. So, I'm not sure how or why that happened. I mean, obviously not building a shrine in an artisan city probably had something to do with it. But yeah, the fact that there was no eventual spread, or one thing you could do is actually, now that I'm looking at it, you could have influenced, I mean, at least at this point, I don't know about, in the last 50 turns, but you could always influence the zealot if you got a character with 60 opinion, get them to 100, and then you can manually convert somebody in the family to try and convert it to the religion you want. But yeah, I was noticing that in the game too, that there's no religion on Chola, and I think that's a huge reason why you have opinion troubles with them, because I don't think I've ever seen a family go to turn 83 in the game without having any religion adopted. That's like wild to me.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, not putting the Hindu shrine in there, that didn't help for sure. But I just thought, I was hoping that the Zoro would just at some point spread, and it didn't do really its job. But
yeah, that's what. That blows my mind, because you have a Zoroastrian artisan city, and yet no character in your family ended up adopting it at all. So I don't know when the spread happened from Zoroastrianism into this artisan city. But yeah, weird thing. That's like, there's something really weird about that, because I don't think I've ever seen a family on turn 80 not have a religion.
That's right, man. The godless Chola.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
All right. Thanks for playing, guys. You guys both played very well. You guys still going on to round 3, so you're not out of it yet. Mongreleyes, you have 2 more losses before you get eliminated, and you played very well in this game, so I'm sure you'll do very well in the remainder of the tournament. And Auro, you are moving up. And if you actually win your next game, you will qualify for the championship. So that's cool.
Oh, damn. Okay. Nice.
All right. See you guys.
Well, good luck. Good luck. Take care, guys. Bye.
Okay, that concludes this session. Very surprising twist and turn from Auro, from Persia, and I like how he pointed out that he noticed the Furious family and used that as a signal to attack. Just goes to show how valuable family politics can be and how game-defining it can be if an opportunity presents itself to your opponent or to you, and the decisions that you can make around that type of situation. So kudos to Auro once more on his tactical and strategic gameplay here. And yeah, really bringing the game to a swift close when he saw an opening. Yeah, he wasted no time whatsoever, saw an opening, and took it immediately. So kudos to both players. I think it could have gone any way long term, but Auro took the win. All right, I'm going to close out the stream here. As always, I'm Scientific. This is the Old World Community Tournament, and take care.